See, that's the thing about living in Arizona. Living here and being able to go to the Superstition Mountains, the San Francisco peaks, these different areas, being able to go to reservations and talk to elders. The legends are real. They're very real. It seems that the further you get away from Arizona, those legends and that truth becomes myth.
In the shadow of the sacred Mount Graham, where ancient legends intertwine with modern science, a hidden story unfolds, one that blurs the lines between faith, secrecy, and the quest for the cosmos. For centuries, the Jesuits have been known as scholars and explorers, tasked with not only spreading the word of God, but also with unraveling the mysteries of our universe. And now, they stand at the forefront of an extraordinary mission, searching for extraterrestrial life. But what drives this ancient order to peer beyond the stars? Is it a search for knowledge, a glimpse into the divine, or perhaps something more? As advanced technologies allow us to venture deeper into the abyss of space, questions arise. Yet with great curiosity comes great controversy. Critics claim that the Jesuits hold influence and knowledge that the world isn't ready to understand. What secrets do they keep as they gaze into the unknown? Join us as we dive into the enigma of the Jesuits and their quest on Mount Graham, where faith meets the infinite, and the search for extraterrestrial life raises profound questions about our existence.
I'm not, so like I said, I've always known I'm not supposed to be talking.
And I saw them. I mean, you couldn't miss them.
If anything, they're more curious about us as we are about them.
They wanted to borrow the image, or borrow the negative.
What is that? Because they were in a formation, and I remember seeing something, a flashing light. I couldn't tell the shape of whatever it was.
People are reporting seeing lights in the sky.
And Mom is back. This is right over the Vatican telescope, Mount Graham, Stafford, Arizona. Right now it's about 7:10. This thing is bright. There's a lot of cloud cover, and this thing is underneath the clouds. It is bright too. Oh, this thing is really bright. They've been firing off some sort of green lasers, and I don't know if this is part of it.
Is it out there again?
Yeah, I got a video right now.
Oh, Michael's taking another video of it. He's taking another video of it. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Throughout our entire genetic history, We have always had this thirst for gold.
One guy says it really simple. With all the gold that has been mined for the thousands of years, there'd be enough gold to build an entire mountain. Where'd all that gold go? People have been mining gold for thousands and thousands of years. There'd be so much gold everywhere, but it's all gone. They think they're still gathering for them.
The Anunnaki are a group of deities from ancient Mesopotamian mythology, particularly associated with the Sumerians and the Babylonians. They are often depicted as powerful beings involved in the creation of humanity and the management of Earth. In modern interpretations, the Anunnaki are sometimes described as extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in ancient times seeking gold. One of the primary motivations attributed to the Anunnaki for coming to Earth was the extraction of gold. The narrative suggests that they needed gold to repair their home planet's atmosphere, as they believed it would help protect their environment and maintain their technology. In Sumerian mythology, the Anunnaki are considered powerful gods, responsible for various aspects of life, including agriculture and the underworld.
There was a group of which is mentioned in the Sumerian text, a group of these people that Enoch even speaks about, the Watchers. They're called the Anunnaki. And they came here for mining because they said that their atmosphere was being destroyed because of their advanced technology, and they needed gold to replenish their atmosphere and stuff. So they said the Anunnaki had been here for hundreds of thousands of years, even before there were even any humans. But according to Enoch, all they wanted to do was eat and slumber. They thought they were above the remedial things of mining. So you had a guy named Shamyasa. We know him as Satan. So that was his true name. So he's in charge of all the people down here on Earth. He's like their overseer. They called him a lord of the area. He had a crown. He was in charge down here.
They are not originally associated with extraterrestrial theories. Some contemporary theories propose that the Anunnaki were alien visitors who came to Earth around 450,000 years ago. These theories suggest they needed gold for their environmental purposes, such as repairing their planet's atmosphere. According to these theories, the Anunnaki allegedly genetically engineered humans as a slave race to mine gold for them, believing it could be used to sustain their home planet.
So while he's down here, he's into the jungles, and apparently it's somewhere around the Cape of Good Horn, I guess where they descended. And he sees these animals being able to lift with great strength. He sees these chimps, or they describe as chimps as apes. So he apparently, from what they described, takes DNA from these things and creates a race of people, which is called the Adamu. It's called the first slave race, or first man. Not Adam, not Eve, but when you hear the name Adamu, translated means Adam. So Adamu, the first slave race. So these things were only created for one reason, to go out and gather gold. And he goes, the fixation of gold has been so deeply rooted throughout our culture, not just our world culture. And people don't even understand why.
The idea that the Anunnaki needed gold primarily stems from modern theories and interpretations of ancient texts. In ancient Mesopotamia, gold was highly valued and symbolized wealth, power, and divinity. The use of gold in temples and jewelry indicated the god's status and desirability. The Anunnaki, as gods, would naturally be associated with such valuable resources. Gold was often used in worship and rituals, crafted into offerings, idols for the deities, including the Anunnaki. The desire for gold can be seen as a reflection of the importance placed on material wealth in honor of the gods.
I mean, I always tell people, if you really want to know the story about gold, go back to the ancient Sumerians and start understanding the whole region and the whole origins related to gold and why man has got this thirst, hunger for it. It goes back to the Sumerians and why they were gathering it. They were gathering it for these people, who Enoch called the Watchers or the Anunnaki. And when you look at depictions of them, they're winged. Just like the angels in the Bible, they all have wings, they have a glow. You ever seen the ones with a halo around their head? That halo was to represent that they had the Illuminate ones. The Illuminati, you've heard the stories of the Illuminati. They think these are remnants of these fallen angels. They said it was hard to look at them because they had a glow about them. Like the angels depicted in the Bible, had a glow about them. Hell, Noah, when he was born, his wife was conceived by an angel. And Methuselah, I think was her name. And she goes, how could she be pregnant? She was here by herself. And she goes, he was really confused. So he goes and talks to his grandfather, who happened to be Enoch. Enoch told him, you have to raise this child as your own. This is a child that your wife was impregnated by the angels up there.
Some interpretations of Sumerian creation myths suggest that the gods used materials, including gold, in the creation of humanity or this world. This has led to speculation about the purpose of gold in divine creation and society. Ancient civilizations, including the Sumerians, engaged in mining operations to extract gold for trade and economy. This economic need could have been linked back to the gods, symbolizing the intertwining of divine favor and material success. Gold served practical, economic, and symbolic roles in ancient Mesopotamian culture. The Anunnaki had a profound influence on ancient Mesopotamian societies in various ways, shaping cultural, religious, and social practices. They were central figures in the pantheon of Mesopotamian gods, and their worship played a significant role in the religious life of the people. Temples were built in their honor, and rituals were performed to gain their favor, ensure fertility, and seek protection.
And to this day, it's really bizarre. I mean, when you hear about why the whole lust or the fascination about gold and why it's so important to us, it was a monetary issue only. I mean, you could make coins out of silver or lead or anything, but for some reason, gold was it. And they were gathering it. Yeah, man, Cortez, Montezuma, they were gatherers of gold, and they would keep it in open areas like they were leaving it for somebody.
Many laws and codes were believed to be inspired by the will of the gods, including the Anunnaki. The Code of the Hammurabi, one of the earliest written legal codes, was said to be given to the god Shamash, reflecting the belief that divine authority underpinned societal order. The Anunnaki were associated with fertility and agricultural prosperity. Their blessings were sought to ensure good harvests and sustainable livestock. The agricultural calendar often included festivals dedicated to these deities, impacting economic activities and community gatherings. The stories and myths of the Anunnaki inspired a rich body of literature, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh and various creation and flood myths. Their depiction in art and sculpture reflected their importance in society and provided a means to communicate religious and moral lessons. The authority of the Anunnaki influenced social structure, with king and priest often claiming divine right and connection to these gods.
You had a grace of people coming down here for exploration reasons, and then while they're here, they have issues when it comes to mating.
Rulers would present themselves as mediators between the gods and the people, reinforcing their leadership roles. The myths involving the Anunnaki often conveyed moral lessons about duty, justice, and consequences of human actions. These stories serve to guide societal values and behavioral norms. The Anunnaki were linked to celestial bodies and natural phenomena, leading ancient Mesopotamians to develop sophisticated astronomical knowledge. Their movements were tracked and calendars were created to align agricultural activities with celestial events. The Anunnaki played a pivotal role in the creation stories, shaping the Mesopotamian understanding of the universe. These narratives provided explanations for natural events and the origins of humanity, influencing cultural identity. The Anunnaki significantly shaped the religious, social, and cultural fabric of ancient Mesopotamian civilization, impacting everything from governance to everyday life. Their enduring legacy is reflected in the archaeological and literacy record of the region.
You know, there's stories that the Anunnaki are back again. And that could either be a good thing for us or a bad thing. Because beyond at the end of the day, they created us for one reason, and it wasn't to spread goodwill and Christian and or whatever religion, faith you are. But they were here for complete control of us. And they didn't treat us well. In other words, would work us till you died and then threw somebody else to take your place. So that's either a good thing or a bad thing. I think the only good aspect of that, it pretty much puts an end to a lot of world leaders' control over us. In other words, instead of being under their thumbnail, we're under their nail now. And so we're answering to them.
People always ask, why do a majority of the UFO sightings happen in the United States?
If you haven't learned by now, this area, prior to it being called the United States, or let's be more specific, this area that we are specifically in right now, Arizona and New Mexico, this area is considered Holy Land. What the Spanish came over here looking for, their conquest, this area fueled those expeditions. In modern day, you'll see on social media memes that are, pretty much making jokes about why a majority of the UFO sightings are in the United States. If you know anything about ufology, UFO sightings, a concentration of them, typically happen in areas that have gold, which are mountainous, high minerals, rich content, the composition. And then, of course, a lot of militaries hide their bases in mountains. And these mountains, it may not be at the surface level, but maybe a mile or two underground, there could be gold. Probably is heavy, rich gold content and other precious minerals. But if you know anything about ufology, you know that UFO sightings typically happen in areas that are rich in gold. So when you sit there and you look at Arizona and New Mexico, and you wonder why these areas have the Phoenix Lights, Roswell, this is because this area was considered Holy Land 200-300 years ago, 1811, 1759, the maps back then, the Spanish maps, this area was labeled as Cibula Equivera.
To have a better understanding of why the Vatican owns a telescope on Mount Graham in Arizona, you have to ask, why were the Jesuits expelled? The Jesuit expulsion of 1767 refers to a widespread removal of members of the Society of Jesus from Spanish territories, particularly in the Americas. This event was part of a larger wave of anti-Jesuit sentiment that swept through Europe and its colonies during the 18th century.
There are 3 of these ancient tunnels that the Aztecs knew about. There's many other people knew about. The Aztecs, when they came here to do ritual sacrifices and mining, there were 3 of these tunnels. The Pimas knew even before the Aztecs got here. And what the Pimas described were structures down a mile underground, building structures underneath. And stories got out. The Spaniards came here, the Jesuits came here. And the Apaches allowed them to come in here because they were considered holy people. They saw the red crested plate cross on them. So these are not conquistadors, so we'll let them come in here. And they were supposed to have been here converting savages into being good Christians, but according to the Apaches, that was the last thing they were here for. They didn't care about converting anyone. They came here for gold, but they came here for one other reason.
The Jesuits were known for their educational, missionary, and social work. However, their power and wealth often led to tensions with secular authorities and other religious groups.
Because when Cortez was raiding Mexico for all of its gold, they found a hidden chamber room with a little map pressed on lathe with gold, and it was a map. And Cortez goes, for them to hide this has got to be something very significant. So he starts asking some of the priests. They all clam up. But if you look at history, if you know anything about history at all, about the conquest of Mexico and with the Spanish, Cortez was a sadistic man. He was into torturing, and he did that very well, apparently, to get truth out of people during the Spanish Inquisition, when they were, people converting to when Islam invaded Spain. So he was a torturing person. So he starts torturing these priests. Tell me what's so significant and where's this at, or else. And these priests, so kills them. Gets another priest in, asks him, clammed up, killed him. This went on through 14 priests. Finally, from what they described, the other one, he's a young man, between 17 to 19 years old. And they described him stepping over the bodies, as they call him up here. And they had their translator tell them word for word, you see what happened to these people? If you don't want this to happen to you, tell us what's so important about this map. And the kid talked. He talks about this region far to the north here, where the Aztecs were going doing ritual sacrifices, about these underground tunnels, and according to ancient people, said the wealth of the world was in there. Well, that made Coronado and Cortez salivate.
By the mid-18th century, the Jesuits had become a target for criticism. Enlightenment thinkers criticized their hierarchical structure and influence over education and politics.
The natives didn't share the secrets of this area until Father Kino comes into the picture. Father Kino pretty much broke the rules of Spain, the king, and this is where Jesuit wealth really begins to take an increase for the better. They really didn't know how much power they had, but Father Kino is the start, he is the heartbeat, and he is the reason why some good and bad things, depending on how you look at it, because the Jesuits got so strong even after the passing of Father Kino. The influence and the power that the Jesuits possessed, because of their knowledge of the mountains, because of their knowledge from mining, the relics that they had, and then Kino also implemented a way of worship that once again went against the rules of Spain. So they began to develop these churches that recognized Christianity, native spirituality, and then there was a third, I don't know what group is the best way to put it. There was a third group that's unknown. There's some theories that are out there, but we're not going to theorize on that. There was an unknown group, and there are certain relics that have been discovered, like the Tucson artifacts, that proves the history of the Roman Catholics in this area, but also shines light on what they were doing really behind Spain's back.
In Spain and its colonies, there were fears about their growing power, which led to a push for their suppression.
Well, they want this to get back to King Louis of Spain, so they were here not just for the gold, but they wanted to find access to these tunnels. But the Apaches told them right off the bat, when they did bring it up, I think 3 or 4 times, we're not allowed to talk about that. It's very sacred to us. Don't ask about it again. So, okay, but if you're here looking for gold, and they pointed them out where to find large vats of gold. They built 6 chests, 3 by 3.5, all of them loaded up with gold. The problem for them, they were sending word back to Mexico and back to Spain that they hadn't found nothing, and they're converted. They didn't even mention the fact that they were sitting on large amounts of gold. Well, word got out that they were, so the king sends ships to Mexico with orders to send conquistadors in here to get these Jesuits and kill them. And oh yeah, by the way, get all the gold that they've been hoarding. Well, they knew it was coming. So what they did, with the help of the Apaches, they went out and with one of the 6 chests, they took a small portion out, divided it among the 12 Jesuits. Say, hey, look, they're coming for us. You know what they're going to do when they catch us? They're going to kill us. So we're going to leave the mountain, wait till the smoke clears, and then come back in here, retrieve that gold. And according to the Jesuits, in their own words, we'll live like kings ourselves.
On February 27, 1767, King Charles III of Spain issued a decree expelling the Jesuits from all Spanish territories. The order was executed rapidly, with Jesuits being arrested, their properties confiscated, and they were sent to various locations without being given time to settle their affairs.
Half of them went to New Orleans, and the other half went back towards Mexico, which a lot of people thought that was pure suicide. And so the 6 of them were found in New Orleans, were captured by the Spanish because they had a lot of control in that area at the time. They captured them and hung them. So they hung all 6 of them, and they caught the ones in Mexico. And so Coronado orders people in here to go get the gold. They thought they were just going to walk out. Oh, there's the gold, let's get it. They get in there 300 deep. During the first week, every night they did roll call. Every night they kept noticing 10 to 15 people weren't here. And they couldn't explain it. Where's Julio? Where's this guy? And it wasn't until about a week later they found this little canyon with all their dead conquistador buddies in it. That's when they realized that they were being picked off. But once the Apaches saw that they were onto that, the Apaches swarmed on them. Wiped out all but just a couple of the 300, even killed their horses. From what I heard, the conquistadors that made it out on foot. Their horses were even killed. And so they never came back.
It's very well known here in Arizona that the Jesuits learned the secrets of the mountains. That includes portals, the magic rocks, and even the discovery of one of the legendary cities of gold. They built churches that went against Spain. All beliefs were welcome and celebrated. The expulsion had lasting impacts on education and missionary work in the Spanish Empire. While some of their missions continued under other orders, the Jesuits' focus on education and social welfare was disrupted. The cultural and social influence of the Jesuits significantly diminished in the region. The expulsion highlighted the conflict between the church and the state and the rise of Enlightenment ideals in Europe. It also set a precedent for further suppression of religious orders, reflecting shifting attitudes toward authority and power during that era.
The Jesuit priests up until the expulsion knew the secrets of the mountains. They had gained so much wealth from mining to architecture. Their buildings are everywhere throughout the Southwest. If they wanted to fight, they probably could have, but they didn't. They knew the expulsion was coming. That's for certain, because they wouldn't have hid their precious relics to the north. How they knew? That they had somebody on the inside. But they knew the expulsion was coming. So they decided to hide their relics, remove any traces of the churches that they were building, really any traces of them breaking the rules of Spain, and where for some reason when the Spanish authorities showed up with the orders, they decided not to actually go and look. And some of those relics still sit to the north in modern day. When it comes to the expulsion and after, the Jesuits then were under the original orders of Spain.
Overall, the Jesuit expulsion of 1767 marked a significant turning point in the history of the Society of Jesus and its influence in Spanish colonial territories. In the present, the Jesuits of today are really Franciscan monks.
In modern day, the Vatican and the Jesuit priests, they're very open about searching for extraterrestrial life and using the telescope that's up on Mount Graham. It's called the VAT. They're very open about what they're actually doing. Is that their end game? Absolutely not.
The Vatican Observatory, one of the oldest astronomical research institutions in the world, established a research facility on Mount Graham in Arizona in 1984. The facility includes the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, which began operations in 1993. The telescope is equipped with modern technology and is used for various research projects. The choice of Mount Graham was due to its high altitude and favorable viewing conditions, making it an excellent site for astronomical observations. Jesuit astronomers from La Scuola Vaticana operate the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope on Mount Graham.
The Jesuits then, in 1767 and prior, they were under the original orders of Spain. Once the expulsion happened and they tried to find the wealth, find out what they were truly doing out here, it wasn't up until about 1810s, 1820s, where orders were provided to send out a new priest. And they were no longer the Jesuits. They were Franciscan monks. And the monks were put in place to not necessarily mimic the Jesuit. They were just under new orders, a new look. And they were there specifically to follow the rules, the orders of the king. So when these Franciscan monks came back, the native peoples welcomed them with open arms. The trust was never lost. Once again, the Apache, to be specific, they thought they were under the same order and mission from prior to the expulsion, but they weren't.
The sacred Apache land in Arizona refers to areas that hold spiritual and cultural significance for the Apache people. The region primarily encompasses the White Mountains and other ranges in eastern Arizona, featuring diverse landscapes such as forests, mountains, and rivers. It is tied to their creation stories, legends, and ceremonies. Many Apache tribes rely on these lands for traditional hunting, gathering, and farming, preserving their connection to ancestral practices. Specific locations within this land are considered sacred, often linked to rituals and important historical events, such as mountains, springs, and natural features. The Apache have historically faced challenges related to land rights and preservation. efforts continue to protect their sacred sites from development and exploitation. Apache sacred lands represent a blend of cultural heritage, spirituality, and ecological significance, making them invaluable to the Apache people and their identity. The Sacred Space Mountains, often referred to in relation to areas of cultural and spiritual significance to various Native American tribes, particularly the Apache and the Navajo. These mountains, including notable ranges like the San Francisco Peaks and the White Mountains, are revered for their deep spiritual connection to the land and its history. The mountains serve as important sites for spiritual ceremonies, rituals, and stories, embodying the cultural identity of the tribes that inhabit the area. The San Francisco Peaks, located near Flagstaff, are considered sacred by several tribes, including the Hopi, Navajo, and Apache. They are often associated with creation stories and are vital for traditional practices. The mountains are often linked to the historical migration patterns of various tribes and are seen as landmarks in their ancestral stories. Many tribes conduct ceremonies and gather for spiritual observances in these mountains, reinforcing the connection between the people and the land. The Sacred Space Mountains in Arizona are cherished not only for their natural beauty, but also for their profound cultural, spiritual, and historical significance, making them vital to the identity and heritage of Native American tribes.
This is why in present day, you have the legal battles of wanting to put artificial snow on the San Francisco Peaks. Another construction or building that took place is the Vatican telescope that is on Mount Graham.
Mount Graham, located in southeastern Arizona, is considered a sacred mountain primarily due to its significance to the San Carlos Apache tribe and other indigenous peoples. Mount Graham is entwined with the spiritual beliefs and creation stories of the Apache people. It is viewed as a place of origin and spiritual connection, representing the presence of ancestral beings. It is a site for rituals that strengthen the community's cultural identity. The mountain provides essential resources such as plants and wildlife, which are important for traditional practices, medicine, and sustenance. There's been significant contention regarding the development on Mount Graham, particularly concerning the construction of the Vatican Observatory Research Telescope. The San Carlos Apache and other tribes have opposed such projects, asserting their rights to protect sacred lands. For the Apache people, Mount Graham is a symbol of their heritage and connection to the land, making its preservation vital for cultural survival. The Vatican built an observatory on Mount Graham in Arizona, primarily for astronomical research purposes. The Vatican Observatory is one of the oldest astronomical research institutions in the world. Its mission includes the study of the universe in relation to faith and science, promoting a dialogue between the two. Mount Graham offers excellent conditions for astronomical observation due to its high elevation, which provides clear skies and reduced atmospheric interference. This makes it an ideal site for telescopes. The observatory aims to study various astronomical phenomena, including the origins of stars, galaxies, and planetary systems, utilizing advanced technology and equipment. Over the years, the Vatican Observatory has sought to engage with local communities and promote understanding of science and faith. This has been met with challenges regarding land use and spiritual significance. The construction of the observatory has faced significant opposition from the San Carlos Apache tribe and environmental groups who argue that Mount Graham is a sacred site and that development threatens both cultural heritage and ecological integrity. Overall, the Vatican's decision to build the observatory was driven by scientific ambitions, but it has sparked an ongoing dialogue about the balance between scientific exploration and respect for indigenous beliefs and sacred sites. Jesuit priests and astronomers affiliated with the Vatican Observatory, located on Mount Graham in Arizona, are interested in searching for extraterrestrial life as a part of their broader mission to study the universe and its relation to faith. The search for extraterrestrial life is a legitimate scientific endeavor. Astronomers explore the cosmos to understand the potential for life beyond Earth, which aligns with broader scientific questions about the universe. The Vatican Observatory promotes dialogue between faith and science. Engaging in the search for extraterrestrial life allows them to address questions of creation, existence, and nature of beings, fostering discussions that bridge scientific understanding and theological perspectives. The observatory contributes to astrobiological studies, investigating conditions required for life and the factors that might lead to the emergence of life on other planets. This research can involve studying atmospheres, surface conditions, and potential biosignatures of exoplanets. Many religious thinkers, including some Jesuit scholars, view the exploration of the universe as a way to understand God's creation more deeply. Searching for life elsewhere can enhance appreciation for the diversity and complexity of life that God may have created. The Vatican Observatory utilizes advanced telescopes and technology to contribute to ongoing research in the field of astronomy, including the search of potential signals or signs of extraterrestrial civilizations. Overall, while the Jesuit priests are not excessively focused on searching for extraterrestrial life, their involvement in this area reflects a commitment to scientific exploration and the meaningful intersection of faith and knowledge.
The one thing that you have to understand is the mountains, they are sacred places to the indigenous peoples, specifically the Apache and the ancient Puebloans, the Hopi and the Navajo. These mountains are extremely important.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the 7 cities of gold?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
7 caves. Could be the 7 caves of Cibola. I say this is Cibola. And
Yes.
and you get some of the angles you get, you'll see a bison head on the top of the mountain, in Coffee Flat Mountain. You'll see the profile of a bison. That's Cibola. Or the bull, I found Taurus, or the Apis bull from Egypt is out there too. And this one I found with his backbone, he's Osiris incarnate. And so Osiris is out there, this ridge line is his spine, and at the tailbone is where you can find this energetic rock. The magic is at his tailbone, which is the Jed pillar. One of their symbols is famous. They do a Jed raising ceremony and stuff. So, but the bull is Osiris incarnate. And so that's the bull spine and the bull's tailbone as well. And when you bring the sun up and across on Google Earth, all of a sudden there's a bull's head forms on the mountains right there next to it. There's a bull head. Got that on the video too.
They were searching for the 7 cities of gold. It's well known that 4 of them are here in Arizona. If you look at the Spanish maps, where the mountain that shows Cibola, that's the Superstition Mountains. And for some reason, when you get away from this state, that truth becomes myth. No idea why. But for those that are wondering why the United States has a high concentration in UFO sightings, it was known as Cibola Equivera prior to it being named Arizona and New Mexico.
Cibola Equivera are two legendary locations often associated with the search of the 7 cities of gold in early Spanish exploration of North America. Cibola is said to be one of the 7 cities of gold, rumored to be rich in wealth and precious metals. Early explorers believed these cities were located in what is now the southwestern United States.
You have to go back to, I believe it was like 1542. A gentleman by the name of Esteban was a Moroccan explorer. He was a slave to Spain. Back then, the word slave really was more of like employee. He was a spy for Spain. He really worked for Spain. He could have escaped at any time. They probably would have never found him. But he was an employee. And he eventually came out here to the American Southwest. He is recognized as the first explorer of the American Southwest. And he came here and became friends with the Zuni. He worked as a shaman, a priest, a healer. He did a lot for them. They eventually, to show their gratitude, they gave him a baby rattler made of gold and copper. He took that baby rattle and he took that baby rattle back to New Spain. He also mentioned while he was in New Spain that he saw a city of gold. So they decided to have a guide go out with him. And that guide's name is Marcos de Niza.
The legend gained prominence in the 1530s when Spanish priest Fray Marcos de Niza claimed to have discovered Cibola. His reports fueled further exploration and interest in the region.
Marcos de Niza and Esteban, their relationship, it got bad pretty quick. And Esteban decided to go about a day or two ahead of the actual party that was sent out by Spain to find the city of gold. Well, luckily for Marcos de Niza, that ended up being a blessing to him. Because the Zuni, they only mentioned the city of gold to Esteban. That was something that was sacred to them. They just didn't run around and sharing their stories and of their sacred mountains and things like that. They didn't just run around letting everybody know where their sacred land and places were. So when Esteban came back to the Zuni, they automatically knew that he was the one that was telling and sharing this information with New Spain. So Esteban's plan backfired. They killed him right there, packed up and moved. Later to be found by Marcos de Niza. Esteban was ahead of the rest of the team because of their relationship. Just it never got off to a good start at all. Like I said, which was a blessing to Marcos de Niza, because when he discovered Esteban's body, Marcos de Niza does the unthinkable. Now, the legend says that they're not really sure if he just so happened to catch the mountains during the sunset hour, or he just flat out lied to New Spain, because he went back and said that he saw the city of gold. And it's pretty well known that this part of the story is a lie, false information. It happened, but he didn't really see a city of gold. So he goes back, and this really fuels the conquest of the Spanish.
Many historians believe that Cibola corresponds to the Zuni Pueblo in New Mexico, which was known for its adobe structures and rich culture. When conquistador Francisco Vázquez de Coronado arrived in 1540, he found the Zuni and explored the area. but did not find the immense wealth he had anticipated. Like Cibola, Quivira is often mentioned in the context of the 7 cities of gold. Its exact location is unclear and has been subject of speculation among explorers. Quivira was described as a prosperous land with abundant resources and is frequently associated with the Great Plains of the United States, particularly the region around modern-day Kansas. During his quest for Cibola, Coronado also sought Quivira. He led an expedition further north after reaching the Zuni, eventually encountering indigenous peoples in the Plains region. But again, he did not find the gold and riches he sought.
Somewhere in the 1680s, Father Kino comes into the picture. He was a Jesuit priest, a cartographer, and an explorer. He is the difference maker. Father Kino comes into this area and becomes an advocate for the natives. This is where the relationship between the indigenous natives, Apaches, and the Jesuit priest really take a turn for the good. Kino was an advocate. He pretty much went against the rules of Spain. And even at this time, the Jesuit priests don't realize the type of power that they possess because of that relationship with the Native Americans. See, the natives began to really share the secrets of the mountains, the precious minerals, with Father Kino. Father Kino was shown one of the 7 cities of gold.
Both Cibola and Quivira exemplify the European fascination with New World myths and relentless pursuit of wealth during the Age of Exploration. The stories surrounding these lands captured imaginations, leading to numerous expeditions and contributing to the eventual colonization of the Americas.
Now, those 6 chests of gold were something of great concern for a lot of people. That's a lot of gold. Until some guy named Don Peralta came into picture. Now, unlike the other Peraltas who were very respected, well-to-do people from Mexico, he was kind of the black sheep, didn't have a lot of money. In fact, he was fairly poor compared to his family members. So he sold his cow, anything he could to get supplies, and he was going in here. Now, apparently they had family members that had ties to one of these Jesuits that may have told something, because he borrowed money from everyone he knew and disappears into the mountain and disappears from history for about 2 years. And most people thought, well, he just killed off by the Apaches or whatever. Then all of a sudden, he shows back up on the scene again. Not only is he not poor, he's one of the most wealthiest ranchers in the entire territory. It wasn't even a state then. He's very wealthy. And wait a minute, I loaned him money. I want my money. So people come up here, hey, where's my money you owe me? But that wasn't enough. They knew he was on to something. So they pressured the old Don Peralta, goes, where did you get this gold? Did you kill someone for it? So he actually comes clean, because I found one of the 6 chests that the Jesuits buried. And he even showed them what he had left of it in the chest. But he claimed he knew where the other 5 chests were at, and spent a lot of his own wealth doing it and never found it again. He found that one, but that was it. Each one was, I guess, buried so far from the other. That way they wouldn't just come and get it all at once. They had to keep it spread out. And so that's where Don Peralta and the story of the Peraltas come in. He actually found one of 6 chests.
And these are so when it comes to the Peralta stone maps and the 6 chests
yeah.
of the heart.
Yeah. These are supposed to be pointed locations, not just to Jacob Waltz's mind, but locations which most people were hoping would lead him to these buried chests of gold. And to this day, they've been very elusive.
The equation on the Peralta stones stands as a beacon, inviting intrepid souls to chase the promise of the 7 cities of gold and the treasures hidden within their ancient shadows. The quest for the 7 cities of gold has captivated explorers and adventurers for centuries, intertwined with legends of the Peralta stones. These stones, etched with markings and symbols, are not just mere artifacts. They are believed to hold a crucial equation that may lead seekers to the fabled cities filled with unimaginable wealth. Among these enigmatic carvings lie what many refer to as the equation. This particular notation is believed to hold the key to deciphering the hidden pathways leading to the fabled treasure of the Peralta family, who allegedly discovered a rich gold mine in the Superstition Mountains. This equation, often speculated to involve a complex interplay of geometry and maps, is thought to be a guide directing treasure hunters through the rugged and unforgiving terrain of the Superstition Mountains. Enthusiasts study the stones, decoding their symbols in hopes of unraveling the enigma that connects them to the mythical cities, rumored to be brimming with gold and riches. As whispers of the 7 cities echo through time, the Peralta stones ignite imaginations of those determined to uncover their secrets. Each marking serves as a breadcrumb, leading one deeper into the wilderness where history, myth, and adventure become one. The pursuit of the equation not only represents the search for treasure, but also the enduring human spirit fueled by dreams of fortune and the thrill of discovery. Equipped with the right knowledge, this equation offers tantalizing clues, potentially guiding seekers to specific geographic landmarks or points of interest. Some theorists argue it employs geometric principles, directing adventurers towards precise locations in the rugged terrain. Despite the allure, many have tried and failed to unlock its secrets, leaving the equation shrouded in layers of speculation. What lies beneath the desert sands remains a question, while the equation continues to be a beacon for those daring enough to follow its cryptic path.
The legends are real. That's what's cool. All the old myths and legends, they're real. They're real. The Aztec origination mountain, the Zep Tepe, where the ancient Egyptians come from, all those stories are real. The Silver Bell artifacts talk about Roman Jews coming here in 800 AD. That's real. That's real. So the Pope's crown, not his mitre, not the one you see all the time, but there's a crown, it's called the tiara, papal tiara. And it's shaped round, this dome type, and they only wear it at ceremonies like Christmas and Easter, resurrection times. And so Osiris, that I found out here, has a top hat. And I say, you know, the Pope is supposed to be the vicar of Christ. That means the substitute for Christ. I say he's the vicar of Osiris. And in 800 AD, somebody saw this. That's when the Pope started wearing that tiara, that particular style, 800 AD. That's the connection between the Silver Bell artifacts, or the Tucson artifacts, the Peralta stones, and the Vatican.
The quest for Sibilla Equivera remain embedded in folklore and literature, symbolizing the enduring allure of exploration and the complexities of indigenous cultures encountered by European settlers. In essence, Sibilla Equivera are emblematic of the intersection of myth, exploration, and deep historical narratives of both European expansion and Native American cultures.
They know that this is holy land, Sibilla Equivera. Just because it's Arizona and New Mexico now, that doesn't remove what this land truly is. This is sacred, holy land to the indigenous people. When it comes to the Jesuits and the Vatican, they're very open about searching for extraterrestrial life and using the telescope that's on Mount Graham. Yes, they are searching for extraterrestrial life. that is known, that is given. But that's not the end game. Their end game is searching for gold. It's the number one reason why they're here under the new orders of Spain. They know the 7 cities of gold exist. Well, at least the ones that haven't been discovered. What they're actually doing is using UFO activity to find gold. Because it's well known that UFO activity, the concentration is in areas that are rich in mineral content, gold.
The sighting that we're about to show you and discuss happened on November 24th, 2015. I go outside on my porch, beautiful view of the eastern sky, probably about 4 in the morning, 3:45, 4 in the morning. I look and I see 3 bright lights. They're always in a triangle pattern. They were maybe 4 to 5 inches in the sky of space in between them, 3 of them. One of the lights disappeared. Then a second one begins to disappear. I must have already had my camera set up in the living room at some point, because I remember going to get my camera and it didn't take much time to even set it up. Now, when I got back outside, the second light had disappeared. The third light is what you see in these images. Now, the light in the sky was bright. It was probably the size of a silver dollar or a 50-cent piece, maybe. It was bright, but the characteristics of it and what I began to notice was different than the first one. It seemed to be having a hard time with disappearing. And it was like taking its time. Like it was really struggling. That's the best word that it was struggling. So the light, as you see in these pictures, it got really bright and bigger. Probably, let's just say it initially was a 50-cent piece, but then it got bigger to about a silver dollar. And then the light began to shrink and implode on itself. And luckily, I have all of these pictures here that show you the actions that I saw. Keep in mind, I'm taking delayed photo shots, but I'm seeing this at the same time. I don't need to be behind the camera. All I have to do is press the remote shutter button. It counts off to 7. I press the button. The image is taken. I do it again. I continue to do it, but I could keep my eye on it. So I'm watching this happen as I'm taking the photos. The light, it gets bigger, and then it begins to shrink. And this is where it gets interesting, because as it shrinks, the size that it once was, that light becomes smoke or a cloud or something. But now I'm watching this light display characteristics that the other 2 didn't. Keep in mind, I saw the first one disappear. I saw the second one begin to disappear. By the time I got my camera and came out, it was gone. The third one was completely different. But as that light implodes and gets smaller and smaller, I don't know if I should call this a cloud or smoke or something, but it gets bigger and it begins to move with the rotation of the stars. Not at the exact speed, but it's at a speed enough to where you can look at these pictures and you can tell that this is outside of our atmosphere. What makes this sighting so important is this either took place over the south end of the Superstition Mountains or on the north side of like the San Carlos Reservation, maybe Mount Graham. I don't think it was that far out, but it was a good ways away. It was probably no more than 200 miles out. But because the sky was so clear, even though there's some noise pollution, that light was so bright that you could just see it clearly. But what makes this sighting so important is that this sighting for sure happened over native sacred land. Once again, it was either Apache. Once again, it was either the Superstition Mountains or would have been closer to like that south end or probably the north end of the San Carlos Reservation. If you were along the Superstition Mountains or if you were along anywhere out there towards like the 60, the light was probably much bigger than what it looked like from my distance. But I can tell based off of its positioning in the sky, how close it was to the horizon and the size of it, that thing was probably 150 to 200 miles away. Definitely in our atmosphere, maybe 5, no more than 10,000 feet in altitude. And it left some sort of smoke cloud residue that traveled with the rotation of the stars. But the one thing that I can tell you is this sighting in particular most definitely happened over sacred lands. And a lot of the time, not only sacred lands, but landmarks, mountains. Some of these mountains that are within the city have a very sacred and highly significant relevance. This sighting is backed by 44 high-resolution images, and there's a loss of time because it wasn't out there that long. I remember going back inside and getting back in the bed before 5 o'clock even hit. I remember that because it wasn't that long. But for some reason, the timestamp on these images says it was about a 2-hour experience.
To say that the Jesuits are using UFO activity to find gold, that's a big accusation. But it's actually quite easy to test, especially living here on the sacred land. It's a pleasure to tell you that we have been able to test and prove this theory to be accurate. We have a location that we're going to keep undisclosed for now, but we will show you. And this location is very high in UFO content. But if you know what to look for on the ground, you'll see the covered mines, you'll see the exploration pits, and you'll see that this area is rich in gold content. What we are about to do is break down our scientific process. We're going to show you videos from this area. We're going to show you the mountain itself. We'll eventually show you the exploration pits that are covered and even the mines. But first, we want you to focus on what's above and what's on ground level. This area has a high concentration of not only UFO activity, but paranormal activity.
Consider this. Mountains are not just majestic formations. They are ancient reservoirs of geological history. They house a treasure trove of minerals, rare earth elements, magnetite, and more. Each of these have unique properties that could interact with electromagnetic fields in ways we have yet to fully comprehend. Could these minerals be influencing the very fabric of our atmosphere, creating conditions ripe for UFO sightings? Imagine a gigantic cosmic puzzle where these mineral-rich mountains serve as natural conduits for energy. What if, when combined with the right atmospheric conditions and technological advancements, they amplify signals or disrupt space-time in a way that attracts extraterrestrial visitors? While skeptics may dismiss such ideas, let's embrace the thought that the relationship between our planet's geology and the unexplained is worth investigating. As we explore these minerals, not only do we seek answers for the UFO enigma, but we also unlock deeper truths about our planet and its connection to the cosmos. The mountains have stood silently for millennia, but their secrets might be revealing a profound narrative, one that blends geology with the mysteries of the universe. So tonight, let's look at those towering peaks, not just as stone, but as potential gateways to understanding the extraordinary. Who knows, the minerals within may very well lead us closer to the answers we have been seeking about UFOs and our place in the universe.
Seven caves. Could be the 7 caves of Cibola. I say this is Cibola, and
Yes.
and you get some of the angles you get. You'll see a bison head on the top of the mountain.
They believe the one that Don Peralta found is the very same one that Wayne Tuttle and these guys that did that Legends of the Superstition Mountains. They found a cave way up on this cliff that went up about a few hundred feet into this opening, and they found the old remnants of an old ladder or something.
What we are about to do is break down our scientific process. We're going to show you videos from this area. We're going to show you the mountain itself. We'll eventually show you the exploration pits that are covered and even the mines.